God dag, og velkommen til meg. Første episode av The Stanley Parable. Akkurat gått inn på spillet. Jeg har fikset på oppkjønnsene på video og grafikk og sånn fra før. Og det var jeg spilte demoen, så jeg har lagt det helt oppsettet på alt sammen. Jeg sitter med 2 skjermer, så alt bare blir flyttet til den andre skjermen. Ja, skal vi se, audio. Kanskje jeg kan ta ned musikk, mester, sånn at dere hører meg bedre i hvert fall. 2 speakers. Sound quality, sånn. Subtitles. Er greit? Ja. Men nå hørte jeg ingenting av ja, jeg skal nå ha sånn. Skal vi se. Ja. Da er det bare å starte da. Skal vi se. Det blir spennende. Jeg har hørt ganske mye bra om dette her, så og demoen var jo storslagen i seg selv. Jeg liker litt sånne spill, jeg. Kan loade forgjeves her, eller hva er det som skjer? Eller er det en del av spillet? Jeg vet sikkert at dere er bedre enn meg akkurat nå. Skal vi se. Kom igjen. And this never the end. This never the end. This never the end. This loading.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Jeg kan ikke skippe.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Så da må vel jeg gå ut fra kontoret hennes da. 427. Viktig å huske. Skal vi se, er det noen sånne samleobjekter i dette spillet? Nei, ingen i 429 heller. Hvor er naboen min?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Slår jeg av den. Jeg ser om jeg finner andre datamaskiner jeg kan slå av da, se om det er her var en til 2 stykker. Masse dører. det ikke vits å PC på hvis det ikke noe på jobb. Nei, noen som sitter og spiller kabal.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Nei, ba. Hvis ikke det ender på noe, så... Det var bare å gå, da. Må være noen av de dørene som går.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ja, kan jeg i hvert fall høre på denne gangen, da. Ja, du kan spille gjennom flere ganger, og... Nei, nå er PC. Søren. Jeg hører du kan spille gjennom det sånn flere ganger, og jeg... Hva resultatet blir. Så...
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
No. Unique. Yes. Yeah. Oi.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Det ingenting altså. Nei vel. Nei, det kjedelig.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Åja. Han er litt mer sånn koselig. Jeg vet, på do. Døren. Litt heit han her, men ikke seg. Nei. Steik.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Steike. Men jeg visste det. Jeg er synsk. Flashlight. Flash. Hva var det? Ikke. Nei. Nå føler jeg nesten som Portal 2. Nei, skal vi loade altså? Portal 2 da er jo... Går da vekk fra kulissene. Behind the scenes. Ja, Portal er noe på det så.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ja, men... Ja, ok, greit. Vi skal høre på hva han sier. Push the button.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Jag trycker. Trappen här då. Det är fyra. Ja. Jag fick inte med mig kanske, så jag går bara in här.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Og nå kommer rulleteksten, og nå har jeg rundet spillet.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine! Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Okay.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Happy. Da kommer rulleteksten med. Hæ? Beat the game. Steak, jeg er god. What? Jeg er tilbake der nå. Kanskje vi skal avslutte da? Kan jeg heller... Så kommer vi tilbake inn her neste video. Så... Må ikke skrive noe. Trykk tastaturet. New feature. Her kan vi hoppe her da. Nei. Tagg. Regler. Nei. Starter vi her neste gang da. Så får vi prøve noe annet.